What happened to Lance from Moonshiners? Lance Waldroup, born in 1990, was a prominent figure in the Discovery Channel's reality series, Moonshiners. Alongside his father, Jeff Waldroup, Lance captivated audiences with his adventurous spirit and innovative approach to distilling. Their segments, which aired from 2012 to 2018, showcased their dedication to perfecting traditional moonshine recipes and experimenting with spirits like absinthe and scotch. Early life and family tragedies. The Waldroup family's history with moonshining is deeply rooted in the Appalachian traditions of Robbinsville, North Carolina. Lance's upbringing was marked by profound loss, having lost both his sister, Lindsay, at the age of 11, and his brother, Lamar, at 20, both to cystic fibrosis. These early experiences left Lance with a sense of survivor's guilt, profoundly affecting his emotional well-being. Struggles with addiction. In the face of these hardships, Lance grappled with addiction. However, demonstrating remarkable resilience, he sought help and entered rehabilitation, emerging as a recovered addict. This journey not only transformed his life, but also deepened his empathy and commitment to supporting others facing similar challenges. Dedication to family. Lance's devotion to his family was evident when he chose to leave Moonshiners to care for his mother, Lynn, after her diagnosis with multiple sclerosis. He prioritized her well-being, ensuring she received the support and care she needed during a challenging time. Tragic passing. On February 25, 2021, Lance was found unresponsive in his Robbinsville home by his mother. Despite efforts to revive him, he was pronounced dead at the age of 30. The subsequent autopsy revealed that congestive heart failure, exacerbated by morbid obesity, was the primary cause of death. At the time of his passing, Lance weighed approximately 580 pounds. Further investigations highlighted Lance's history of high blood pressure and previous struggles with opioid addiction. While prescription medications were found in his room, there was no evidence suggesting that drugs directly contributed to his death. Legacy. The news of Lance's untimely death sent ripples of sorrow through the Moonshiners community and beyond. Discovery Channel honored his memory, stating, "We are saddened to hear about the loss of Lance Waldroup, an adventurous distiller who was featured alongside his father throughout the early seasons of Moonshiners. Lance was always looking to take his flavorful recipes of shine to new heights." In the wake of his passing, fans and colleagues alike shared heartfelt tributes, recalling Lance's kindness, dedication, and the genuine passion he brought to both his craft and his relationships. His story serves as a poignant reminder of the complexities of human experience, highlighting themes of resilience, familial devotion, and the profound impact of early life experiences on one's trajectory. Lance Waldroup's journey, though marked by personal struggles, was also filled with moments of profound connection and achievement. His legacy continues to inspire those who knew him and those who followed his story on Moonshiners, reminding us all of the importance of family, perseverance, and the enduring spirit of adventure. The spirit never fades. The story of Lance from Moonshiners. The smoke rose in wisps over the Appalachian hills, curling like a whispered secret around the pines. The air was still cool with mountain morning dew, and the familiar scent of fermented mash and burning wood drifted through the dense woods. Deep in these backwoods, hidden behind the folds of trees and thyme, there was a man who knew how to make magic with water, corn, and heat. That man was Lance Waldroup. But Lance wasn't just a moonshiner. He was a son, a brother, a fighter, and above all, a seeker of redemption. Chapter 1. Born of fire and tradition, Lance was born into the mountains, into the smell of mash barrels and the crackle of copper stills. His father, Jeff Waldroup, had the hands of a craftsman and the patience of a man who knew the rhythm of boiling mash better than any creature knew the Bible. The Waldroofs weren't just distillers, they were storytellers, preserving tradition drop by golden drop. From a young age, Lance was entranced. He'd sit beside his father, watching as the flames licked the bottom of the still and the clear liquor poured out like liquid moonlight. There was a reverence to it, a sort of sacred dance between man and nature. But behind the art, there was heart. Lance grew up in a home shattered by grief. His siblings, Lindsay and Lamar, both died young from cystic fibrosis. The pain of losing them cut through the family like a jagged edge, leaving scars that never quite healed. Lance, the youngest, survived, but he carried with him a weight that few could see and even fewer could understand. He lived with survivor's guilt, often feeling like a piece of a puzzle that should have never fit. Those early years taught him how to smile with sadness in his eyes. The mountains echoed with laughter, but they also remembered every tear. Chapter 2. The rise of a Moonshiner. When the cameras of Moonshiners first rolled into the backwoods of North Carolina, they weren't looking for actors. They wanted real grit, heritage, authenticity, and they found that in Jeff and Lance. The father-son duo quickly became fan favorites. Lance, with his boyish charm and eager spirit, brought something fresh to the tradition. While Jeff stayed rooted in the old ways, Lance wanted to push boundaries. He wasn't afraid to try a new blend, experiment with absinthe, or tinker with Scotch-style distilling. He brought the fire of innovation to the ancient craft. Week after week, viewers watched Lance grow, not just as a moonshiner, but as a man. He made mistakes, burned a few batches, argued with Jeff. But he learned. He always came back to the still, a little smarter, a little stronger. Behind the scenes, though, a different fire was burning. 3. A battle within the fame, the pressure, the unresolved grief. It all caught up with him. Like many in Appalachia and beyond, Lance found himself tangled in addiction. Painkillers offered a numbness he mistook for peace. For a while, he slipped away from the man he wanted to be. But Lance was nothing if not a fighter. He entered rehab, faced the darkness, got clean. It wasn't easy. Recovery never is. But Lance clawed his way back, determined to rebuild himself, not just for him, but for the family that still needed him. When his mother, Lynn, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, Lance didn't hesitate. He stepped away from the show, from the cameras and the stills, to be by her side. That choice, quiet and unseen by most, was perhaps his greatest act of love. Chapter 4. The last season. The last few years of Lance's life were a mixture of simplicity and struggle. He returned to Robbinsville, tried to live a quiet life. The fame faded, but the memories lingered. Fans still remembered the way he grinned when a batch came out perfect, the way he called his father Pop, the way he talked about the mountains like they were old friends. But health issues mounted. Lance had always been a big guy, but his weight became a serious concern. At the time of his passing, he weighed nearly 600 pounds. His heart, both literally and metaphorically, was tiring. February 25, 2021. The stills went silent. Lance's mother found him unresponsive. Despite all efforts, he was gone. The cause? Congestive heart failure. He was only 30 years old. The news shook the Moonshiners community. Fans poured out their grief online. The Discovery Channel aired tributes. But in the hills of North Carolina, where Lance had grown up and grown strong, the silence was the loudest. Chapter 5. The spirit lives on. It's easy to remember a man by the way he died. But Lance deserves more than that. Remember him for his heart, the one that loved deeply, hurt quietly, and gave selflessly. Remember the way he chased his dreams, even when the world told him he was just a backwoods boy. Remember the way he owned his demons, stayed them down, and chose to fight. Jeff still keeps a photo of Lance by the still. Some days, he talks to it. Tells his son about the weather, about the batch he's working on, about how proud he is. The fire crackles, and if you listen close, you can almost hear Lance's laugh echo through the pines. And fans, they still toast him. With a jar of shine, raised high under a full Appalachian moon. Because legends don't always wear crowns. Sometimes, they wear flannel shirts and muddy boots, and they teach us how to turn corn into courage. Hi log. What remains lost has a way of changing the landscape of your life. Where once stood a man, now stands a memory. But memories, like moonshine, don't fade easily. They burn. Warm. Strong. Lance's story isn't just about moonshine. It's about resilience, redemption, and roots. It's about the power of love, the weight of grief, and the courage to keep going. So the next time you're out in the woods, when the mist clings to the ground and the stars feel a little closer, raise a glass to Lance Waldroup. Because he was more than a moonshine, he was the spark in the still. And in the hearts of those who knew him, and those who only knew of him, his spirit burns on.